Welcome back to Mondays with Mike. I am Mike Runey, the head of school here at Portsmouth Christian Academy. And today I'm wrapping up a 4-part series that really is capturing the year end. Today, I specifically want to close by sharing what we heard from you in the spring parent survey. And we also did a student survey and we did a staff and faculty survey, what we saw and how we are responding. I don't know if you knew this, but we have about 450 families at PCA from preschool all the way up through the 12th grade. And over 300 PCA parents participated, almost 40% of our families. So that's a really strong and representative response. Clearly, the outcomes for us as we look at the whole school are well established in the statistical norms for all those who are in that space. We also heard from our students in grades 5 through 12. We do a student survey that looks at their spiritual life and growth, as well as their attitudes towards school and towards learning. And then we also did a staff and faculty survey, and of 41 of our staff and faculty responded, including 23 classroom teachers. And I'm going to touch a little bit on all those different groups, but especially moms and dads for what you shared with us. And so this gives us a really full picture, sort of like I like to say, from the classroom to the kitchen table. And, we looked at your comments too. We looked at some scores. We did a lot of analysis once the school year ended, and we met during in-service. And I just got an outbrief from one of the statistical leads who helped us do our survey. We benchmarked the parent survey across the nation with other Christian schools, and it was really helpful for us to have that perspective. It was the first time we've done that. And so what I'm going to share with you are pretty high level, but I want to assure you that I think there's some real good meat here. Hopefully you hear that and know that your feedback to us really means a lot. It really helps us grow, just like we want to see growth in your child and in all of your children and all their classmates. We expect to grow and improve as a school. We want to keep the strong things strong, and we want to, build up the areas that need strengthening and improvement. And so I just want to start off by celebrating some things that you shared with us. We thank the Lord, obviously, for the opportunity to come alongside you as parents and help your children grow into their potential. And you told us, hey, you're doing some things that are really, really strong. And really across every group that we looked at, one theme came through that you told us that Christ is the center at PCA. It's not a slogan. It's something that you and your children see and value. And that's really encouraging for all of us. Everything from morning devotionals, many in the hallway conversations at the upper school in particular, and sometimes in the middle school, and the way teachers at every grade guide your children with grace and truth, you affirmed the heart of PCA. You also celebrated the teachers who care deeply, who really know your child and model Christ-like character. And there's a strength across the school. And when you saw that and experienced that, you highlighted it. And thank you for doing that. I know that's the heart behind every PCA teacher and staff member, and we always seek to grow in that area too. But thank you for where you shared where we're strong, and in some cases where we might want to do a little bit better. Another area that you called out and that we celebrate is that you see that PCA is a safe environment where high expectations and mutual respect define our culture. Those are the standards that we seek. We like to say that PCA is a safe, welcoming, and cared for school. That's our goal. And I think you affirmed that. Interestingly, that the gentleman who did the national survey said that safety is, in terms of the emotional, spiritual, physical, is not a given. And it was one of the strong suits, and you saw that, and it's our commitment to keep PCA that way. So thanks for seeing it. A lot of work goes into it, and we'll keep it that way. Another area that I was greatly encouraged to hear is that you saw that across the school, we have high expectations in terms of knowledge and understanding and growth, academics in a word, especially in literacy and science. You emphasize that, especially at the younger grades, but across the board, high academic expectations. And clearly we want that to be consistent across and help your children rise to those appropriately to challenge them and encourage them. But you affirmed that's our goal. That's who we are as a school. That's really good. And then finally, you really talked about the positive Christian community at the school, especially in the lower school, and in many specific teacher-student relationships. These showed up in your comments. And just know that that's our goal. Next year's core value is compassionate community, And I think we're starting from a strong base. And I'm going to talk about a couple of areas that we can really work on that you brought up that we want to build on the overall positive Christian community. Overall, that's what you told us, but your kids echoed this back, 5th through 12th graders, for us. Many said that they feel safe and supported and that they're spiritually encouraged. And most know that of at least one teacher who genuinely listens to and believes in them. And that's so critical, so critical. And we're so encouraged to hear that. You also highlight some areas we need to grow in. You gave us some clear areas to look at and to consider improving. The big one across the board was math and science, especially at the upper school. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit. And, there's some communication that's already gone out to the upper school and what we're doing in there. But I just want to let you know across the board that we hear that. And again, I'll talk to that specifically in a bit. Number 2, that was really helpful for us, especially as we go into next year, is just student-to-student relationships are a concern. Just how your kids treat each other, cliques they may form, acts just unkindness, and even up to areas of bullying. And just really, how do they have deeper friendships and Christian friendships? And so that's an area we're going to work together on with you, what that looks like and how we do that and foster that here. So yes, we have a strong Christian community, but those really important relationships are an area that we're going to be working with your kids on too. Another area that you brought up was just parent-teacher communication could be improved, especially after the 6th grade. We just know that there's a drift that occurs. The gentleman who did the survey talked about that. He sees that across the nation. But there are clearly areas that you're telling us that we could do better in. And so more work to be done. But I just wanted to highlight that we heard you, and both that regularity and clarity and what we're sharing with you and who's sharing it is important. And I think the one that is most important, it sort of showed up when we looked a little closer, was that many of you are not confident that you know that if your child is really starting to move into his or her God-given potential. And parents who are not sure about this question, you clearly were not satisfied with the school. And wow, that's an eye-opener for me and for all of us. We could definitely improve on this and how we communicate your child's growth and progress, not just through the grades, but really through stories of growth and discipleship and what we're seeing. And so we're going to go back and look at that. Clearly it's our mission. And so if we're not conveying that well, we want to do that in meaningful ways that are, resonate with you and your children. And so I just want to add one more layer to all of this. And this is really talking about your kids' achievement. I mentioned this earlier, but it's something to celebrate. And I think depending on where you sit in the school, I don't know if we fully are absorbing this, that especially in math, in grades 3 through 11, your kids scored together in the top 10% nationally in math achievement this year. So they're a top 10% school in the tested math skills. So this isn't just their growth, which they did very well at in most grades. They're really leading the way. And that's encouraging. That's been a multi-year effort. And I just hope that can sink in for all of us, that your kids are not just above average. They're achieving often at a very high level in math, even if their experience wasn't a particularly good one. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But reading and language usage, writing, was also really strong. And so some of you were able to see that. And I think that it's an area that I like to work with and hear from some of you more about how we can understand what this means and what it doesn't mean, and really to encourage you individually and collectively on the growth that your kids are doing. So I want to take just a few minutes and sort of give you highlights by division. So the preschool community just absolutely loves Miss Harley and the team down there, and see the growth and the feedback really, really strong. And you all told us that. And it's just so encouraging to see. Although your children didn't do the student feedback, obviously, they provide us a ton of feedback, and it's just so encouraging to see their growth. It is, again, this is real school. This is, far from daycare, and the professionalism that Ms. Harley and her team do to prepare your kids to truly maximize their potential and get a great start in kindergarten in the challenging curriculum at the lower school is second to none. And so we just want to celebrate that. Shifting to Dr. Bood in the lower school, grades K through 5, this is what you guys told us as parents. You really affirmed the joy, order, and the Christ-like care that defines lower school. You see that. You see your children coming home happy, they're reading particularly well, they're learning deeply, and you see their growth spiritually. Several of you noted that how much their child looks forward to school and how secure that your kids feel in the classrooms. And, that's not a mistake. That doesn't just happen. And we're so glad that you can see that and you see it through your kids' eyes too. When we asked our teachers what's going on in the lower school, they overall said that they feel supported and encouraged. And they're really committed to building strong readers and confident young thinkers. And, they have been working so hard on being super consistent on math growth, and they've done so well over the last several years to really lead the way. It's been really encouraging to see this commitment to building strong readers at these foundational levels. Their focus right now, heading into the next year, is on improving on writing tools and sharpening the linkage between grades so that when your child moves from grade to grade, that they really continue to grow on a really fast clip that we see that happens at PCA. We talk about consistency year over year, and our kindergarten through fifth grade teachers are really starting to dial that in, and we're seeing it. And I think they're seeing that as well. And hopefully you'll be seeing that if you don't right now. The fifth grade was sort of the first group that we included in the survey, and they see the chapel and friends and recess and reading time really stood out for them. Most of the kids in fifth grade love school and they feel loved. And that's such an encouraging thing, especially as they finish out the elementary years and start heading into middle school. And so I just want to celebrate what we see at the lower school. You shared that with us. You're very satisfied with that part of the school, and it shows. Moving into the middle school, grades 6 to 8, you told us as parents that you see the heart and spiritual commitment of our middle school teachers. And that's so encouraging for me to hear. As you know, these can be really challenging years to teach in, and the fact that you see the heart and commitment of your kids' teachers is key. You definitely raised some concerns about friendship dynamics, peer culture, and how your kids treat each other. And so we're definitely going to continue to look at that, especially what happens out of eyesight of the teachers. Many of you want to see stronger accountability, clear expectations, and a school culture that helps build middle schoolers into more kind and mature young men and women. And so we'll definitely take that on. What the teachers said to me was that they are so deeply committed and invested and really seeking to be alert spiritually to what's going on in your kids' lives. They would like more tools on helping your kids grow spiritually, and as well as how to act behaviorally appropriately. They would like to see better consistency around classroom norms and expectations, and that links up really well with the things you're saying as parents. What your kids told us was that they are definitely feeling more independent, and then often, they assert that, but they're feeling that here. But they also feel vulnerable, and many noted feeling outside of social circles or unsure of how to form genuine friendships, which is Dr. Lawrence has mentioned in the past, these are one of the things that's happening at this time of life. And I just want to let you know we're going to continue to move into that space and help them navigate that. But this is a really key developmental area, and I think will always be a challenge, but one that I think we want your kids to feel like they've got really good guides and supports in. Your kids want a community that reflects the faith that we profess among each other, and it's really encouraging to see that they want that and they're stepping into that. At the upper school, what you guys said as parents, you really praised the commitment of the leadership and the strong spiritual direction of the school. Especially the strong spiritual direction of the school is so important because that's really coming from your kids. This is a time when we include your children much more in leading each other as part of our leadership development program. We continue to step into that, and I think we're seeing that really impact your kids positively. Many of your kids shared with you, and you reflected back to us the strengths of the upper school teachers and their dedication to preparing them for their next step in life. You did cite, though, that our math instruction, the peer culture, and communication are concerns. And I'll talk again more about math, but I think, again, how kids treat each other and giving them tools to both navigate that well, build community are really, really important. And I hear you loud and clear. You did voice some concerns about whether your child was fully seen, stretched, and supported. And we'll take those on and really continue to walk closely with you in that. The teachers told me that they really care for your kids and they are committed to excellence. And that's both a high bar and a real challenge to do both. A lot of schools, you can do one, care for the kids, not committed to excellence, or you commit to excellence and the kids suffer. I'm just so encouraged to hear that the faculty reaffirming their dual commitments here. They also noted the need from them to continue to plan and work together collaboratively across disciplines. They want to work on clear communication internally and with you, and a stronger alignment in academic expectations for your kids. And so that's good news. I think that's going to all bear out well. I know that Mr. Heckelman and the team up there are working on that. I'm so grateful that they brought that up. And your kids, what they say, that they really appreciate the teachers who mentor and engage them deeply. And there are a lot of those teachers at the upper school. Many, though, did express frustration with inconsistency in the academic workload, fragmentation in some of their friendship groups, and a desire for more real conversations in class and in chapel. And so you see this desire for deep connection. I think everything I'm reading about this generation is they've moved what I call beyond the idea of authenticity, which I always thought was fairly thin, sort of a last few years, to really this deeper engagement that is real. And we're going to walk with them in that. And so I think that we continue to see your kids doing well in many, many, many different areas, really stretching themselves beyond typically what they think. And I think the challenge for us is how to keep them really engaged and motivated. One of the things that was, as you know, we had some real turnover in the math department during the year this year. And I'm just so grateful for your kids and for you all who continue to press in and stay engaged as we finished out the fourth quarter. And I'm so encouraged to say that while the overall math growth wasn't as high as we hoped, and it slowed down a bit, especially in algebraic reasoning and application, what we did see was that your kids continue to score well above the national average. So they persevered, that the teachers who crossed over and covered those gaps, I think overall did a really good job. But it's important to acknowledge that it clearly did not end the way we intended to. So your kids are really capable. They're often very high achieving. But I think that we're seeing that they're not always experiencing the instruction that connects with them or stretches them fully. And so you can expect that we'll be focusing on math instruction, clarifying those expectations, and really continue to give them good options to continue to maximize their potential as they get ready for their next stage of life. I do want to talk a little bit about math, and this is some of the feedback, not certainly to undersell it, because I think we're all trying to figure this out. Because at one level, we see your kids doing so well that they're not just growing, that they're really excelling. And yet there is a disconnect, that it doesn't feel that way, certainly at the lower and middle school. And so I just want to let you know that I want to hear from you about what you're seeing, because we're seeing certain things, but you're seeing other things. So let us know what you're seeing. We continue to move your kids up. And one of the things we've done is we've stabilized, this is several years ago, but we stabilized the periods so that your child can move and accelerate through math unlike any of the other subjects. And we're seeing that across the board, lower to middle, middle to upper to continued on, well beyond. We have two of our first students who are going to be taking Beyond Calc BC this next year as seniors. They're going to be taking a really, really neat online course from Stanford on linear algebra that's at a much higher level than I ever imagined. But just know that we want to continue to work on the communication both ways. Number two, that really we're committed to excellent and engaging instruction, especially in upper school math and science, so that your kids' achievement is matched by their experience. And we really want them to have a good experience, love learning. And so I shared in another detail, but communication, or actually Mr. Heckelman did, and I gave a little overview, is we have stabilized the math team with internal, excellent, dedicated educators who all have math experience. We have one new hire, and I think she's a really, really good add, but the rest are known teachers, many of them math teachers. So Becca Shoemaker is going to continue to lead that department. Tammy Treadwell is going to support as well at the upper school while keeping and anchoring the middle school math program. And so I'm really confident there, and we'll update you more on the science side. And I think we have some really great things developing, but I won't be ready to fully share them until mid-July with you. So, but just want to let you know it's really important that your kids have a great experience in math and science. And then I think that we just know that back to internally with your kids, making clarity our ally, the syllabi, grading, the communication rhythms, classroom culture. This is really important. So when it comes to math and science, we are not defensive about what you're telling us. I think it confirms what we sensed. We're grateful for what you're telling us. And as you know, we're already moving to address it. And we welcome your feedback and continue building for your kids' sake. Another thing that you talked about was desire to be connected to us. You want to know as parents what is happening in the classroom, but you don't want to be flooded with emails from different platforms and voices. Some feel over communicated to. A few of you actually feel left out. And so we hear you. And while we're not moving to universal weekly communications policy right now, we are reviewing how we're communicating with you. So expect some changes next year that bring more clarity, more consistency, and confidence in the partnership between you and us here at the PCA. So just to wrap this up, thank you for joining us. Your survey time given back to us has reminded us of this important fact, that our school community is loved by you and that you know our love for your children. And you can see that we're committed to continually growing and improving as a school. We do start from a really solid base and strong foundation as a Christ-centered school with some amazing high-achieving kids of yours, some really strong teachers, and a deeply committed parent community. But I want you to know that we're not content with just being good enough. Not when we see the opportunities to grow, especially in math, to deepen friendships between your kids, to clarify communication, and really to guide each of your kids and their classmates toward their God-given potential. So to every parent who's listening, maybe a few students and a faculty member who shared their feedback, thank you so much. It really helps us all grow into a better school, to lead better, to teach better, to love more wisely and compassionately. And so as you move deeper into summer here in New England, which is such a joy to behold, just know I'm praying for you. I had a chance to go out with the cross-country team, and they run so fast, and I ran my own pace. But it's just so good to see your kids on campus at summer camp, Eagle Camp with Mr. Nick Watson, practicing, running, coming in for voice lessons and tutoring. I hope and pray that you can have a wonderful 4th of July Independence Day celebration. And this is the 249th birthday of the United States of America. And I thank God that we have the opportunity to be in this country. And so I hope and pray that as you celebrate this week, that wherever this may find you, that you just sense the Lord's love for you and His blessing on you and your family and your kids. And I ask you to continue to pray for PCA, that we would be able to rest deeply in this season of summer and do the important summer work that needs to be done without being overwhelmed, to get some good, deep rest, our teachers in particular. And for those that are working their tails off, like the facilities team, the IT team, and the summer camp directors, and many of the coaches, that they would find a rhythm and rest that would really enable them to do what they love to do for your kids and your family here at PCA. And in all things, I pray that he who began a good work in each of your children would make it apparent to you what he's doing as he carries it on to completion. And that's just obviously just a little bit of a rephrasing of one of my favorite verses out of Philippians. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your feedback. I'll be back after the 4th of July, and we'll start a new series as we begin to look at key topics that I think are of interest to parents, specifically about the school. And then in August, we'll start prepping you for the year to come, school year 25-26. God bless you. Happy Independence Day. God bless you.